you, Mr. Mayor. I second Councillor Gardner's comments for $14, really. My problem with this is I have the feeling that if you intend to do something, it should be part of your regular budget process. I've always felt that reserves were for us to be able to respond to some emergency or to take advantage of an opportunity that we weren't aware of at budget time. And so, granted, it's the same amount of money, but it seems to me it's just sleight of hand. If you intend to do something, but you don't budget for it, you intend to take money somewhere else, and especially because I think that our auditor proposed we should have $5 million in reserve, did he not? And you say we've got 3.5 that we're going to take out a quarter to buy this land and prep it. And I take very seriously the comments I heard that we just might not get the same return on this land that we'd be putting into it. But I think we were all surprised when we thought maybe I better not, it was a public meeting when we talked about how much money we might or might not get for a side parking. Like, we really can't predict the kind of money that we're going to get when we do sell land. And I think it jeopardizes the opportunity we have to get something ready so that if somebody does come shopping, we've got a parcel of land that we can offer them that's ready to go. So, but I mean, is this just a silly argument here? Like, are reserved funds meant for unforeseen opportunities and emergencies, or are they meant to be used to cover your budget so you can reduce your budget and it's really just smoke and mirrors? We're going to spend the money anyway, apparently. Or what's going to happen if we take it out of the budget, maybe at the next meeting we're not going to spend the money? Like, I think this is just so short-sighted. So I guess the question I have is about the nature of reserves and what they're supposed to be used for.
Ms. Adams?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, working reserves are for exactly what you had indicated during a year. If we have not budgeted for something that comes up, whether it's an opportunity or an emergency, that's what your working reserves are for, because we cannot end the year in a deficit. You raise a certain level of revenue, you stick with that budget. We have historically, last year, we did take some money from the surplus that we had in 2009. The city experienced a lot of one-time, unusual items that came up favorably in 2009 that allowed us to make a fairly significant contribution to our reserves. So last year we did take some of that surplus and we put that towards the budget. But overall, there was an offset increase of substantially more than what we took out to help bring up that reserve. It was actually quite a bit lower than $3.5 million. The $5 million number is a number that I have indicated to council between $5 and potentially $8 million. But what council also needs to keep in mind is that on the quarterly reports that we provide to council, you also receive a schedule for reserves. And I encourage you all to take a look at that once in a while. There are reserve funds for those unique things that come up that are expenditures that are going to cost us something significant down the road. The closure of the landfill site is one that we established following the surplus of 2009. We're talking about reintroducing a winter control reserve. We have land reserve. We have all these different types of reserves specifically for specific purposes. But your working reserves are there for the unknown item that could come up during the year. But there is the flexibility. Council can make a decision to draw from working reserves to offset budgetary items. That's within your ability to do so.
Anything further, Councilor McDonald?
No,
Councilor Murphy.
Thank you. Through your worship to our CFO. A couple of questions. So, clarification on this one. Our reserves are said to be low by our auditor, but we're still in good financial shape.
Our working reserves, which is that money that you can use that is not identified for a specific purpose, our auditors will say it is low. But then when you look at reserve funds that we have overall for the city, and part of that reserve fund includes the $25 million for the progress fund. It's actually more than that right now based on investment income that's also still sitting with that. When you look at, when you bring in our funds, our reserve funds for the organization overall, we have close to $60 million in reserves. So we are in good financial shape. But when you look at Your working reserve is what you draw upon at any given time when you're looking for funding to either meet an emergency, an objective, or if an opportunity comes up, that's when you're using your working reserves. But we have, to clarify to council, we have historically taken some of the surplus from a previous year and used it through reduction in the budget for the following year. So what will happen is on Monday evening, there'll be a report to council. I will be recommending that these contributions to reserves occur as a result of how we completed 2010.
My second question would be, so just to refamiliarize myself with this, I wasn't on the past council, but last year's council agreed to borrow from reserves for the budget.
Last year, we took out 280.
I don't know the exact figures, but ballpark, there was some money taken out.
We had a substantial surplus in 2009. And so because of the surplus that we had in 2009, it allowed us to establish a couple of new reserves. It allowed us to, from a financial point of view, we were in very good shape following 2009. So then we did take part of the surplus from 2009, and we applied it to 2010 in order to deliver a budget with no increase to the tax rate payer. So that was the objective of the council last, and that was the decision made by council in the last year.
We're not in a similar position then? That's what we're requesting now?
The
Okay.
difference would be this year, the portion that's being attributed to the working reserve from 2010, you're using all of that. So basically whatever is going to the working reserve, we're earmarking primarily all of that right back into the budget for 2011. The difference in 2010 is that there was still a significant amount of money that was contributing to the reserves to still bring them up.
Anything further, Councilor Murphy?
No, that's it.
Councilor Rivett?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was here at the last budget meeting, and I was shocked to say, well, it came out of nowhere. I don't know where that money came from, but let's throw $250,000 in there for land acquisition. Was not even part of the budget deliberation, although it's in there. Ask somebody who has to stand in line at the Gatley Center. Ask somebody who can't give their children free balanced meals what $24 is. You're going to find out it's not. You might think it's peanuts, but it's not, because there's people out there that are suffering, got a hard time making ends meet. I think, Mr. Mayor, the last budget meeting, this is what I'm saying, that some of the councilors didn't hear these comments. We were told, if we open the Benson Center, it's not going to cost us any more than the Bob Turner and the Cy Miller. Yet they're asking for 4 full-time, or 3 full-time positions and 2 full-time, 5 bodies for that location. There's nobody asking questions. What these statements were made to us earlier. There's ways of covering those jobs without increasing, without loss of service or loss of jobs that exist. There is ways to get this budget down, but we have to decide that we want to do it. Let's not stand up and say we're going here, we need this money. We don't, because we're just not prepared to take the action needed to bring it where it's supposed to be. Thank you.